Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Sunday, December 8th, 2024 writing reading class. Hope you had a great week. Let's go ahead and get started. Just give me a one in the chat room to let me know that you can hear me okay. And we'll get started. Thank you, Andy, for changing the name there. Can you all hear me? I could just get a one in the chat room. Okay, perfect. Great. And so let's start off. We'll begin with we'll talk about some theories for good writing and then introduce a new book and wrap up with some vocabulary. Today's quote. Andy, would you mind going ahead and reading the quote for us over on the left?
Either write something worth reading or do something worth writing.
Interesting. This phrase here. Can either of you tell me what the author of this phrase is trying to say? Either write something worth reading or do something worth writing. Ethan, any thoughts on what this means?
Maybe don't do things that are not worth for you.
That don't work for you? What do you mean by that?
Like if you write something that isn't worth reading, why should you write it?
What would make something worth reading? What do you think the author means when he says you need to write something worth reading? What does he mean by that?
Maybe you need to have a very interesting topic and interesting things.
Yep, exactly. So he said the author is talking about, if we choose to write, it needs to be something that's going to be beneficial for others. But what about the second part, or do something worth writing? Ethan, what do you think that part means?
Maybe if you can do it and it's good for your writing, maybe you can practice or maybe, yeah.
Okay, and what would make something good? What do you think the author means when he's talking about do something worth writing? What would be something good? Any thoughts on that, Ethan? What would be considered good? Alice, any thoughts? What might be considered good for writing?
Like creative.
Okay, maybe something creative. Yeah, or it could even just be something that helps and benefits the world or benefits society. So now someone else would want to write about what you've accomplished. So this is all about finding things that are important, whether it's something that you're going to write about something that's important, that's going to benefit or help others. Or if you're going to do something, the same thing, and then someone else can write about it. This is actually something that every or journalism tries to do. They try to write something that is unique, that is going to bring value to someone's life, but much information and there's so much media and so many things that we can read, valuable and what isn't. Now, before we get into that, what's kind of interesting about this words, but in different parts of speech. For example, and we also see writing. What part of speech are adverbs, prepositions, articles? How is the root word write used in this quote? Andy, any idea?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Ethan, any idea of how the word write is used? Is it used as a
I
noun?
don't know.
No? Alice, any idea? Is it used as a noun, verb, adverb, adjective? How are they using the word write?
No, I don't know.
Okay. Well, let's talk about it. So they said either write something. So here it's a verb. It's telling you to do something. Verbs are actions. So we see right there. But when it comes again later on, it is worth writing. That's actually an adjective. It's very interesting in English because you could take any word and you can make it different parts of speech. You can take a noun and make it an adjective. You can take a verb and make it an adjective. Now, the word itself might change, but the root word actually stays the same. And this is something that great writers think about when they are writing. Think about using the same word, but in different formats. This is what's known as a polyptoton. Polyptoton. As it says over on the left here, this is a stylistic scheme in which words derived from the same root are repeated. For example, a judge is judicial. So judge is a noun. Judicial is a adjective describing the judge. Feeding food as a adjective and then a noun. Watch the watchman. We have a verb and we have a noun. A couple more examples over on the right side for you. One scoop once a day. One and once come from the same root word, but one is an adjective and the other one is a noun. Real bread isn't made in factories, it's baked in bakeries. Here we have the root word bake being used as a verb and then as a noun, baked in bakeries. Lose your knack for losing things. Lose being the verb, and then actually what's known as a gerund for losing things. And what it does is it creates a fun little ring for using the verb of your own. Now to do this, what you want to think about is pick a word and think about the different parts of speech. How would you say that word as a noun? How would you say that word as a verb? How would you say it as an adjective? Then from there, you can create a phrase that uses a single word. So right now, I'd like for you to take a moment and create a polyptoton of your own with using 2 or more uses of the root word and use it either in the form of a noun, an adjective, an adverb, verb. You can submit it to me privately in the chat room and then we'll take a look at your polyptoton and discuss. I'll go back to the previous page to give you some examples. Okay, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the examples coming in. If you want to submit one, just go ahead and quickly wrap up before we move on to the end. Andy, do you want to go ahead and read yours for the group?
He was killed by a killer. He was wiped clean by wipes.
Okay, excellent. The root word kill as a noun. Very good. And the second one, he was wiped clean as a verb by wipe. Good. Anyone else submitting an example of a polyptoton? Okay, good. Let me grab yours, Alice, and then I'll have you read yours.
I was
Okay, now we want to say painted. I was painted. Now, I think what you're trying to say is I was painted by be an example. Yes, also of using the root and we see it as a noun. Good. And then let me grab yours, Ethan. I'll have you read your example. Okay, you want to go ahead and make more than if you picked Cipher, trying to decide information profession based on the world and writing. Ethan, can you read the first paragraph?
It's apparent to me that the very facts that some people wondering if journalism is dead in light of the decline of newspapers, that there's a whole lot here that's getting overblown. 3 reasons why journalists still deserve a seat at the table in the era of new media.
Era of new media. Good. Andy, can you read the second? Andy, do you want to go ahead with the second? Oh, are you there, Andy?
Okay. All of us can report stuff we find. I am.
Okay, go ahead.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
All of us can report stuff we find on the web as once call it news. We need people who take that aggressive flow of endless info, some of it useful and some of it not, and give it greater context.
Good, that
They
word was
help us
aggregated.
decipher how that information fits the aggregated flow of endless info, some of it useful and some of it not, and give it greater context. They help us decipher how that information fits together in the world where we're getting a whole lot more information, not less.
Excellent. Alice, can you read the third paragraph?
If you hear a thousand voices on one topic, it can sound a lot like noise. You need some trusted authorities on the
Authorities?
authorities on that topic to help provide you with opinions that make sense. It's not like we're all experts in every subject. We need reliable sources to help us understand the issues among the flow of information that is often entirely too biased,
Biased.
or just plain wrong.
Excellent. And then Ethan, our final paragraph.
Completing content is not inherently wrong, but there's still much more of a need for original content. To me, it's not he who has the most content who wins. It's he who has the most relevant content. So of course we're going to repost, retweet, share, etc. But people who merely do this and only this at high
Velocity?
velocity each day aren't content sharing, their content shoveling.
Excellent. So a very opinion-based article here on author Forden to be the issue with people who only reshare information. Or you could pick an opinion-based one. Number 3, would you like to be a journalist? Why or why not? Just 3 sentences to explain, go into detail. Then once you have your writing complete, you can submit it to me privately in the chat room. And then we will ahead and posting all 3 questions in the chat room that you can refer to. And I'll go back to once again, do not words. Okay, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the writing example coming in. If you want to submit, just go ahead and start to wrap up. Go ahead, I'll read it here.
Taking videos and pictures for the interviewee. Secondly, I don't like to interview other people because I think I'll disturb them. And they will don't like me. So that's why.
Okay, all right, very good, Alice. Let's talk about something with your and then of course for the interviewee. Now, in this phrase here, pictures, the journalist is more about asking questions. Maybe there's someone that's like coming, but the job of a journalist is just to gather information, to reach space, to asking questions, and for the job of the you by that.
I'll disturb and interview them.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that one more time? It broke up a little bit.
Like, I think I'll disturb them, so I do not like to interview other people.
So by disturb, I think you mean like bother them? Okay. I think I then is when we are asked, not likely going to happen, like in this situation, you're talking about a person, we're using what's called the second conditional. And the second conditional, just like our question, uses would. Anytime that we were not like to, or I would like to, we use would unlikely. I would bother them. They similarly hear me. And that's just would instead of we could. In this case too. Need to would be should. Would, could, should, we would use for unreal situations, second conditional. Now, at the end, you said, so that's why I would not like to be a journalist. Now, you said this already in the beginning. It's true that we want to have a statement that sort of wraps up our viewpoint, but what we don't want to do is repeat the same words. Think about creating some sort of summary of the information. Sometimes we might think about a result of something instead of just repeating. We might say something about not being a journalism, but being another profession, other professions. Through that, you didn't say understand the same words once again. So think about that concept, but to either rephrase the statement in another way or try to give a conclusion with the repetition there. Writer here's for the group.
Yeah. Why?
Go ahead, Ethan.
The author thinks that journalists are important. Firstly, they help us to know if something is true or false. Secondly, if there are a lot of people arguing in this argument, you can pick an authority to make your opinion.
Okay. Yeah, very good. All right. So let me give you a suggestion here. I got 2 comments I want to make here. On the second part, that if there's a argument, we don't suggest we say something. If there's a lot of people arguing, and then that also avoid general about it. You can pick an authority to make authority a decision, or even to say your decision use with opinion. Decision, form, and are really good. Are 3 reasons, but we only got.
I wanted to change.
Oh, I'm sorry, I broke up a little bit. Can
I
you say that one
want
more
to
time?
change.
You want to change it to 2? That would work. That we would need that second, or that third reason there. Good. Now, I was just talking with Alice about, how can we wrap up? You said there was something that would help us finish it. Something about a result, something about a conclusion of the information. Something that recaps why these journalists are important without saying that same thing. Perhaps you could say something like, journalists always be needed or always be important. It's like it helps round out your concluding sentence. We want to do a concluding sentence, but not repeat. For a second, we've been discussing all of the different verb tenses with a focus more on a focus on the differences between them. Last week, we were talking about the future, and we were talking and discussing will versus going to and the difference between them. This week, I want to talk about the difference between the future simple and the future continuous. Let's look at these 2 sentences. The first one, future simple. Next weekend, I will spend the day with my friends. Versus the second one, which is future continuous friends. What's the difference? What's the difference between these 2 sentences in the meaning? They sound very close, but there is a difference. Raise your hand if you have an idea. Alice, any idea on the difference between them?
Like one says just the time, but the other says I will spend the whole day.
Yeah, so what's different about that second one? What's different about when I say a whole day? What is my focus? Ethan?
How much time you spend in the day?
Exactly. When we talk about the continuous tense, we are putting the focus on the period of time. Where in the first one, the focus is not on the period of time. It's just focused on the event itself, or in fact, the unit or the action. That's just the one-time action. So when we think continuous, we tend to think focus on period of time. And we include the time in many cases. Like here, we were talking about the whole day. We might say for 3 hours. We might say from noon until 4, but the time is indicated. So remembering last week, well, we could say things like, I will start or I'm going to start. The difference with will being the focus on something that you're just deciding right now, where going is something that you've thought about beforehand and you've maybe made plans. But now comparing that with talking about the period of time also could be will be with plus the ing form of the verb, or is going to be plus the ing form of the verb. As you see with the future continuous over on the right side, don't call at 10 tomorrow. I will be studying, or I'm going to be studying. Will be or going to be. Let's take a look at some sentences here. The choice here is to decide whether we should use past continuous. Chris with the verb a speech in the main hall. Should we say tomorrow morning Chris will give a speech in the main hall, or tomorrow morning Chris is giving a speech in the main hall? Or sorry, will be giving a speech. Which one is correct? Andy, any thoughts there? Tomorrow morning Chris will give a speech, or tomorrow morning Chris will be giving a speech?
Tomorrow morning, Chris will give a speech in the main hall.
That's correct. Yep. We don't have anything that's indicating the period of time in the sentence. So using just present simple works just fine. Ethan, take a look at number 2. I with the verb help you with your homework as soon as I finish with the dishes. Should we say I'm sorry, go ahead.
I will help you with your homework as soon as I finish with the dishes.
That's right. Once again, no indication of time. Future simple works just fine. Alice, how about number 3? This evening, we with the verb prepare for the upcoming party.
This evening, we will prepare for the upcoming party.
Correct. Yes. Once again, no need for future continuous. Let's look at the next set. Andy, number 4. We with the verb wash the dishes after dinner. We promise.
We will wash the dishes after dinner, we promise.
Ethan, how about number 5? Claire thinks that Matthew.
Claire thinks that Matthew
So we could say will ask or will be asking.
will ask her to prom.
Yes. And then Alice, how about this next one? Amelia with wait for us when we arrive.
Amelia will be waiting for us when we arrive.
That is right. This is a present, or this is a future continuous. Will be waiting. The focus in this sentence is actually the event over the period of time that's occurring. I want you to look, Andy, at number 8, actually. Number 8. What do you think this one is, Andy?
I can't visit you tonight because I am going to study for the test.
Well, we have 2 choices. We could say, I will study, or I will be.
I will be studying for the test.
Yes. So this is another example of where the focus is on the period of time, what you're going to be doing at that during the evening. Ethan, take a look at number 10 for me. What do you think here? Number 10.
The children will be sleeping when you come home, so be quiet.
That's right. Will be sleeping, or are going to be sleeping. Either one. You could use either the going to or the will. So if we notice those last 3 that we just did, how many actions do we see in them? We actually see 2 actions. Like number 10, the children will be sleeping when something else happens. Or number 8, I can't do one thing because I will be doing something else. Many times when we use the present continuous, we may actually describe two actions that are occurring. Oh, Ethan, did you have a question?
Why should we use the future simple in number 3? Because
Why can we use the
future,
future simple? This evening we will
I
prepare
mean, we
for.
will be preparing.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So this is where it gets a little interesting. So this evening we will be preparing. Is this evening telling us about a period of time, or is it just a point in time? Is it a period of time this evening, or is it a point tomorrow? Would I say tomorrow we will be preparing, or tomorrow we will prepare?
Be prepared.
We will prepare. So just present simple, which is no indication of something happening over a period of time. Now, if this said, we will be preparing for the, how we would want to use present continuous, or sorry, future continuous, because now we're describing one action that's happening when something else occurs. We will be preparing for the event at the same time, time. And that's one of the things when you create a sentence with present continuous, or sorry, future continuous, many times it's when there's another action that's involved in the sentence. Home, continuous sentence. With your future continuous sentence, you doing happening when another action occurs in the future. I'll write in the chat room how each is formed, but your choice is either for future simple using will or going to, and then future continuous will be or is going to be. Once you have your two sentences, you can submit and we'll take a look and discuss. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the examples coming in. Okay, tomorrow, let's see, do you have one for the future continuous?
I'm just thinking
that you wanna
about
send over?
it.
Okay. Yeah, you can keep thinking on that one. I'm going to look to my friend's birthday party tomorrow. Excellent. I will be going to my friend's birthday while my friend is preparing for the party. Okay. Next second one. But something that we typically do is we don't use both tenses. Even though yours is describing two actions that are occurring at the same time. Let's actually see here. I will in yours, we don't tend like this. I will, or you could also say I will. You could say go, that would be fine too. But yeah, in your case, time is the second part. I will go to my friend's birthday party while my head works much better. We know that you're heading there and it's happening over a period of time, present with the while that it's occurring, obviously. Okay, Alex, let me go ahead and copy your second one here. You wrote, this weekend I will be painting a picture with it. Next weekend, it makes sense to use present time, or we need to have one action that's happening. Those would be the two situations where we'd use it. Ethan, yeah, question?
Can I use I will be heading to my friend's birthday party?
If you tell me about a second action. So what's going to happen? So what's going to happen while you're doing that?
Like the same while my friend is preparing for the party.
No, we can't do the two things. The heading is also happening over a period of time, but we don't indicate both in the same sentence. My friends, first, you'll be in the process happen, and that action will stop the action. I call. Or here's another option. I will be going to my friend. We'll see you. So maybe you're going, you're going to be traveling away. You're going to stop and visit someone before you get to the party. So that. These when we future ones get a little tricky, and definitely once we start moving into the perfect tenses, that's going to be our next step here to decipher those. Here's a little bit about the author of the book and a little description too that you can take a moment to read. This week we had a few vocabulary words: relevant, aggregated, bias of these words, because you'll use them for the vocabulary words we had, and also the difference between our future simple versus future continuous. Very close, but they have some very distinct differences. The writing assignment is the following. You are going on a trip to a jungle safari. What items do you pack in your suitcase? Write no more than 400 words. On the page afterwards, you'll find the words of the day with the sentences for you to complete, and then the answer. If you'd like to get started with any of the assignments, just go ahead and click on the link and request access, and then I'll be able to get that over to you. There's the link there. Any questions, though, as we next Sunday? Have a great week. Bye
Bye.
now. Hi. Bye. Good week.